Hello world, Stephen Michael Zach here, and today I'm finally taking a look at the GVM 650B Pro. Now, everybody has been going absolutely crazy over this light, so today we're going to see if it's worth it or not. Now, I did buy this with my own money, so these are going to be my own brutal and honest opinions as always. So, let's take a look at what comes inside the bag. My own brutal and honest opinions as always. This is new to me. Okay, so here we have the case, and we do have the Velcro here, which is fine, and a handle, and it is a padded handle. Now, this is feels like it's just ironed on. Feels like I could probably scratch it off with my finger. And let's go ahead and open the case. The zipper feels pretty robust. And I am going to flip this around so I can actually see this. And first off, let's take a look at this video. Obviously, this was a test model or something because you could see the 650 and then 1Q sketched into the lid, and there is some damage to the lid here, some indents to the lid. So obviously, this was like a floor model or a test model that they repurposed. This is not new. So just interesting that this is from Q1. So inside, you're going to get your instructions and your warranty card. You're going to get your ballast here. You're going to get both of your cables, your Nutrix and your head lead. You're going to get a locking clamp and plate. Then you're going to get the light itself and the dish. Now, I just want to show you this right up front. In order to put this back in the case, I actually had to watch a how-to video. You're going to want to remove this, and this just slides up, and it actually slides into the dish here. You have foam here, so do not lose this foam, but the actual yoke has to go inside here, which again, not thrilled about, but there you go, that's how they did it. And there you go, so you've got your yoke there, and you have the light itself, and that's it. And you do get a protective cap. And then inside you have this heavier foam here to protect the light from destroying the case. Okay, so let's talk build quality. This head alone is about 15, almost 16 pounds. Now, you do get a nice yoke. You do get a nice yoke here. And what I like about this is you have the option to either mount this in a combo stand or on a C stand. Do not use a wimpy light stand. You will run into problems. And you do have this very nice yoke, and it is a very nice, very smooth disc system, which is very cool. And again, you could lock it off and it ratchets. So very cool. And you do have your lock at the top here. And one other thing to show you is you can remove the front here. I don't know why you would, but they made this removable. I guess if you want to allow this to be run a little bit cooler, you can remove that. I would never do that. I would just kind of sort of leave it on. But it does have a removable cap. And of course, on the back here, you do have a plug here that's plugging your head lead. So this does keep it from getting, if anything should happen to it, you've just got a little plug here. So there you go. This is not IP60 rated, but they did give you a protective cap. Now, I have this already sandbagged, and this is my C-stand. So we're going to go ahead and drop this onto the C-stand like so. I'm going to lock that in. I'm going to pull up the handle. And the cool thing about this is, yes, you can go absolutely 360 with it, which is cool. So if you are hanging it in a studio, you will have no problems. There's also a slight curve to the yoke, so you can undersling it. So that's great. That's going to give you a little bit more room when you have modifiers. And just to show you how heavy this thing is, when I turn this, this is spring-loaded. And the spring can barely push up. So this thing is pretty darn heavy. Next, we're going to attach the clamp and the handle here. Now, I would highly suggest swapping this out. This is not the best super clamp in the world. I will most likely, because I can unscrew it and release it from here, it looks like. It might be screwed in. I'm gonna probably take a couple of Allen wrenches, unscrew this, screw this into actually an impact super clamp. Because the problem is sometimes when I start turning this, when it's attached, as you can see, nothing is happening. I actually have to pull up on it. So not a great spring in here, not a great release system. So I will be replacing this. Okay, so you want this larger side up. That's the way I found that this works the best. And we're just going to ratchet this right on to the C-stand. Now I like to keep this at the back of the C-stand and have the controls behind the light here. And we'll just ratchet that down nice and tight. And you can ratchet that away. Next, before we place the ballast, I'm going to set the ballast up. Let's take a look at the ballast. Now you have these very nice knobs. They feel very, very, very good. You have some nice push buttons here. And you have a very clicky on-off switch here. Now you do get V-mount batteries here, and they are 14 volt on either side. So there you go. And then on the bottom, you have your DMX in, DMX out. You have your head lead, and you have your Nutrix connector that goes to your AC power. You also have these nice feet here, so you can lay this on the ground. And then you have some feet here as well, so you can lay it on the ground, or you can grab it by the handle here. And you do have, again, here's the attachment for that clamp that it came with. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to connect my cables first. So I'm going to stick in my Nutrix connector here and give that a twist. And if all you have to do is pull upon the thing, twist and pull it out. But we're going to go ahead and make sure that snaps into place. And it does also come with these Velcro little test straps. I like to wrap them around and do the kind of this so they don't come off and I don't lose them. But yours will not come that way. And we'll go ahead and we'll plug in the 3-pin connector here as well. And now we're ready to go because all this stuff is on the bottom, so it's just easier to plug this in before you hook this up to the stand. Okay, and what we'll do now is we'll just take this and we'll line it up and snap it into place. It is a little bit wobbly. So you can try to tighten it up a bit, but just know that there's a little play there. Now we'll just go ahead and twist the cap and remove the cap here, and the head lead will go in like so. And you want to go until it snaps in. Of course, you could always turn this and pull it right out, but you'll want to hear a snap when you push it in, and you are good to go. And finally, I'll go ahead and I will take the dish and slap it on the front here. Like so. Logo setup, please. And there is a little play in the dish, but again, that doesn't really matter because you are going to be just having this far away from everything else. You're not Hollywooding this, so you should be fine. Okay, so now that we have this beast of a light set up, let's go ahead and turn this on by hitting the power button. And right away, you will hear the fans kick in. Now, I had this thing set to fan in order to cool it down. So I will go into the menu system here, and we'll jog over to the fan setting and press in. And we're going to go to Smart Fan. And now you should hear the fan go off. I would highly recommend keeping this in Smart Fan mode until you're ready to shut it off. You will not hear the fan pretty much at all, which is very cool. So we'll go back to the mode and let's go into CCT mode. Now we do have our CCT, we have our integer, and it shows that it's plugged in. Now the top knob will increase by 0.1 increments, which is very cool. And we can go all the way up to 100%. Now there is unfortunately no fast press. Would have been nice to be able to like hit this and get it to different levels, but we can't do that. So we'll go down to, say like 11% here. And of course your bottom is going to control your CCT in increments of 50. And this goes from 6,800 all the way down to 27. So there you go. We will go to a nice 39 because that's what we shoot in here. And there you go. That is pretty much it. Now you do get a couple of buttons here. You get your mode button. You also get a menu button, which goes into the menu setting. And you can hit the back button to go into something like this. But we'll hit the mode button and go into source. And if we press here, this is going to match different sources. Now you can control your brightness here. And let's go ahead and we'll chalk this down to about, like maybe 10%-ish. Okay, 11% is fine. Now, one thing I will tell you is that when you are in source mode, whatever you've left this on, it will remember. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to push that in. And now we go to this mode here. And this is going to be matching sources. You can match your tungsten, your HMI 5600, and then you've got a match of 6,000. You've got a studio lamp. You've got your sodium lamp, halogen lamp, arc lamp, candle, sunrise, sunset, daylight, overcast, and cool white. So this is just a really cool way to get to kind of matching your source, matching your environment really quickly without having to dial it in. It is an interesting feature. Hit the back button. And then we have the special effects here. For those of you who are sensitive to flashing lights, I'll leave a timestamp so you can skip ahead. But we're going to go ahead and tap the button. And we get all of these effects. We get lightning, we get CCT loop, your candle, your bad bulb, your TV, your paparazzi, your explosion, your pulsing, your strobe, your fire, your fireworks, and of course welding, which I really, really love that they have a welding here. Now, really cool thing here is that once you press this in, you do get control not only of the color temperature of every single effect, which is fantastic, but you can also control the speed and brightness. I believe pressing this in will go to your speed. We'll navigate from your speed to your CCT. So yes, you can actually dial this in. Let's go to, let's hit back and let's go to something that isn't going to make people nauseous, like candle. And we'll engage the candle here. So very, very cool. You have a lot of controls over special effects. You have your color controls, you have your brightness, and of course you have speed. And this is what I'd like to see on a special effects, on a light that has special effects, is the ability to control every aspect of the special effects. Now, hitting the menu button, we're going to go into a menu here, and we have our DMX settings. You do get 8-bit and 16-bit, and you can add addresses. Go back, and next we have the dimming curve, which I do want to play around with. Next, you will have your Wi-Fi settings, and you press that. You can also control this via RF and an RF switcher. Bluetooth is on, and say you want to reset the Bluetooth. You just go down here to yes and press the button in, and it'll reset. We're going to say no. So there we go. We're just going to hit back. And then moving on, you get your studio mode. And again, you can tell this whether you want your studio mode on or off. Right now, I'll turn studio mode off. When studio mode is on, that means if you plug this thing into a light source, it's going to automatically turn on, which is very, very cool. So I'm going to kind of leave this alone and back out. And then you get your frequency settings. So again, if you are using a high-powered camera, or you're using a phantom camera or something, or doing super slow motion, or you're shooting at a weird shutter speed, you can adjust the frequency so it's not gonna get all flashy and blurry and liney. So there you go, get frequency control. And finally, you have the fan setting. Now, as I said at the top of this video, one thing I would highly suggest is this gets very, 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 very hot. You will be waiting forever for this to cool down. So when you're done with the light, I highly suggest going into the CCT mode here and turning the power down to 0, and then going back into the menu and going back into the fan settings and turning this on high. And just let this run on high for about 10 to 15 to maybe 20 minutes, and it will cool down the light for you. That way you're not going to be waiting a long time for this to be ready to be put away. So let's go ahead into silent mode, and as we can see, when we activate silent mode, this cuts to about, I would say about 20 or 30%. So you are actually losing power when you go into silent mode. When we click into high mode, you get your power back, and of course smart mode, you're going to have all that power without the fan, and the fan will just go on when it needs to. Now let's take a look at V-mount. So I'm going to shut this off because it is not hot swappable. And I'm going to go ahead and put this honking battery on here. Now, one thing I will say is it is very difficult to get V-mount batteries mounted properly on this thing. For whatever reason, it is not a good mount. It is not a good connection. So I have a 230 there, and we'll use this fully powered 99 here. And we'll go ahead and we'll unplug it. We'll go ahead and turn the power on. As you see, this does have a really nice screen. We'll go into CCT, and here we are at 100% power. So there we go. and you get a little battery indicator there. So yes, it does run on 2 batteries. Let's go ahead and remove a battery. And as you can see, this thing does not run off 1 battery. People who say that this runs off 1 battery are incorrect. You will need 2 V-mount batteries for this to run. The fact that people are saying that it runs off 1 is not true. And we'll go ahead and plug that back in, and there you go. So you will need 2 V-mount batteries. And we'll go ahead and plug this back in. And there you go. So as you can see, when you use V-mount batteries, you are losing, I think it's going to about 60% or so. You are losing a little bit of light. That is just the trade-off for using V-mount batteries. But with a 650 watt light, you're probably not going to want this thing on 100 all the time. You're probably going to use this thing maybe on 20%. Okay, so let's talk pros and cons. Let's start off with the base here. And I will say that it's a bummer that all the plugs are underneath, so you will need to actually get your plugs in first before you attach this. As you saw earlier in the video, the V-mount batteries do not attach well to this. And yes, you will need 2, not 1. You will need 2, otherwise this thing will shut off. But it just feels like it's not connecting, and it's very difficult to get them on. It just feels janky. It's not a good feeling. It doesn't click in and feel like it's right. Moving on, I will say that the super clamp that came with the mount, it is janky as well. I will be replacing this with an impact clamp. I'll leave a link in the description below for those. But I find that when I'm unscrewing it, I have to kind of pull on the top metal piece either to get it open or get it closed. The spring is not great in here. So that is something I will be replacing as well. And moving up to the top, yes, the dish does have some play. Doesn't matter because you're not going to be Hollywooding this thing. And I will say that this top piece, this is about almost 16 pounds. This is about roughly about 6 pounds, and when I weighed the case, it was I believe like 36, almost 37 pounds. I'll leave a shot of the scale. But it is incredibly heavy. And that leads me to my next major con is that the case has no wheels. For something that is almost 36, 37 pounds, this thing needs to be on wheels. There's no way that I want to carry this down from my 2nd floor studio, throw it in my car, and then carry it into a gig. Yes, I could buy a hard case for it. I could buy a hand truck, but that's an extra expense. When for the money, this really should have come with a case with wheels. So that is, unfortunately, that's what you're going to get. Next is the fact that this has no plus minus green, magenta green shift. And here's how I feel moving forward. Any bicolor light that I buy has to have green magenta shift. It's just the way bicolor lights work. I need that ability in order to balance out my lights. And that leads into the next con is this thing is super magenta. It is out by a 1.2 green correction gel. So you're either going to have to put a correction gel in front of this, which is another thing you're going to have to bring and set up. You're going to have to adjust all your other lights if you can to match this, or you're going to have to adjust your camera. So your camera's color balance. So that is something to be aware of. This thing is not the most color accurate. Around 3200 Kelvin, I got 0.6 green, which is actually okay. So I would most likely use this as a 3200 tungsten source rather than a 5600 Kelvin source. And lastly, I will say when you have this thing running for a while, the ballast does get a little warm to the touch, so just be careful. So from the cons to the pros, this thing is a metal beast. It is rock solid. If you're in a studio, if you have this on a grip truck and it's going on a cart and you have guys pulling it in, a couple guys setting this up, it is a no-brainer. It would work very, very well for that kind of thing. It does have the studio mode, so you can just plug it in. But the build quality is superb. One maybe negative thing is that the GVM logo lights up, but you could slap a piece of gaff tape over that and it shouldn't be a problem. The dish magnifies well. It is rock solid. I love the fact that you can spin this thing 360. The yoke is curved, so if you want to use modifiers and hang this thing, you can. You shouldn't have a problem there. It does have the removable little cover over the LEDs, so you could allow the LEDs to breathe. I don't know why you would want to do that, but you can remove the protective glass if you're in a studio. And it does have very, very, very long cables. Again, I love these Velcro cables. I actually like to wrap them around so you don't lose them. And it does have a protection plug for when you're not using it. And again, you have a disc system here. Thank you, GVM, for including that. Thank you for not making it one of those ratchet systems where you can't quite point it in the direction that you want to point it. Yeah, so the head is very, very, very nice. You get a lot of lead here. Let's go down to the actual control box itself. This is really, really nice. You get a very nice bright screen that you could see from all angles. Multiple ways of controlling this. Again, you can hit mode, you get your CCT, you can match your source here, which is fantastic. You can go into effects, and not only can you control the brightness and the color temperature, which is awesome, but you can control the speed. So you get a lot of flexibility. And with the app, you could actually trigger the explosions and the lightning. The app works fantastically well. They've finally given us everything inside the app, like the plus minus buttons, what color temperature we're at, lots of controls, and it connects very, very easily. So the app, really great job, GVM, on the app. I'm very impressed. From where it started back when I was reviewing your panels when nobody knew who you were, to now it has improved so much. So I really love the app on this. And finally, talking about the controls, you get so many controls. You can control the frequency if you're shooting high speed. You can control the curve. You can control, you've got Wi-Fi control. You've got DMX, both 8-bit and 16-bit. You can control this thing via RF. So you really do get a lot. You can control the fan setting, which is fantastic. You got system settings. You can control the language. Don't touch that. You have a studio mode. So really, all in all, this thing is featureful. It truly is a pro light. Now, the big question is this right for me personally? And that's really where I have to say no. First off, I've probably said it, I'm gonna repeat it. When I'm a run and gun shooter, when I'm shooting, I do not have time to stop and set up another correction gel or make sure my lights are set to this or reset my camera's color. So the fact that this skews so horribly magenta is a huge negative for me. I will probably only use it, if I did use it, around 3200 Kelvin, because then you're only out by a 0.6 green, which is manageable. But as a daylight source, I would have to say this thing is very, very magenta. The second thing for me is the fact that this thing is incredibly heavy. It is 36 pounds, roughly about 36 pounds with the case. And for somebody like me who's trying to go smaller, lighter, it's not necessarily the best option when there are 500 watt lights out there, so you're getting a little bit less power, but again, they're more manageable. I could lift those, so there you go, there you have it. And finally, the case does not have wheels, and with a unit this heavy, it really needed wheels. Now, yes, I do believe that you can actually buy, I think GVM is going to or does sell a hard case for this, and I could pick up a hand truck, but again, it's an extra expense. So for me personally, even though I love the brightness, the fact that it's not color accurate, the fact that it's heavy, the fact that the case doesn't have wheels, that's gonna make this a pass for me. This might not be a pass for you though. If you are in a YouTube studio and this is going to be your only light, now keep in mind, this is overkill for a YouTube studio. This is not something that you would wanna put in a studio. You can get by with either 60 watt or 150 watt lights and be completely fine. But if you want something with this kind of power and you are gonna have the time to readjust everything and readjust for this light, for just a little bit over $800, this is absolutely to be considered. Now, I will say watch Amazon because they have a lot of sales in their daily deals on this thing. Also, Black Friday is coming up. Generally, this goes for about $1,000. I believe I paid a little bit more than $800. And B&H, at the time of the recording of this video, has this for even a little bit more. Has it for like $780. I'll leave all the links below. But all in all, not bad. I'm very impressed with how far GVM has come. However, this is just not a light for me due to the factors that I've mentioned. So those are my thoughts, but I want to know yours. So leave your questions and comments in the notes below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to mash that bell button to be notified when we drop a brand new video. And we have a brand new mailing list that you can join, which I'll leave in the links below. I'm Stephen Michael Zach, and this is new to me.